Welcome to Second Saturday. I'm your host, Professor Alfonso Siverls. Today's show is a conversation with Mr. Robert Siverls, educator, actor. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, brother.
Let's start this conversation by a quote from Cornel West. I remember reading in one of his books, Cornel West, for those who may not know, is an educator, an activist, and a philosopher who is African American, Dr. Cornel West. And in one of his books, he wrote this quote, and he was talking about his profession, philosophy. And he said, philosophy for me is not a career. It is a vocation. And he was talking about vocation in a very classic sense, a passion, a calling. Robert, as an actor, is this also true for you in your profession?
Oh, without a doubt, hands down. I think that acting in itself, in the purest sense, has to be a calling, because what one has to endure in that journey requires them to be totally transparent and 100% honest with themselves. I had actually had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Cornel West after a show, Most Dangerous Man in America. That was one of the plays Amir Baraka wrote, actually his last play before he passed away. And it was done at Castillo Theater, produced by New Federal Theater. And I met Mr. West at that time. And I was very moved by his generosity. You know, he was very just open and honest, and he said some wonderful things to the cast as well as to myself, because people will recognize when you are working that it's a calling. Others will recognize that, well, this is like a job, or this is something someone is doing until. But when you have an actor and it's their calling, there's no end to the game.
Question, Bobby. Is there a difference? Can you see a difference in performance for those who understand it as a calling versus those who understand it as a job?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, when you understand it as a calling, then your struggle is equally in line with your joy. So you understand that it's okay, I'm going to struggle, because struggling is part of the journey. And we don't even look at struggle as a place of not having and not being able to do. The struggle comes in going deeper and embracing character and allow yourself to be more transparent with the work. When we get there, then whatever else is happening, we've accepted it. So I've accepted that I'm not making a lot of money. I've accepted that I'm struggling here. I don't have these things, all of the trinkets of the business.
All right.
But I'm grateful that I'm able to bring meaningful work alive.
Oh, that's very, very interesting and noble. Let me ask you, you've been an actor for how long now?
Well, I was an actor in the 80s and 90s, and then I left the business for 17 years, and I recently came back into acting. I'm about 3 years in, once again, and I think that every experience that we have, all of the human experience adds up, and it shows up. And so everything that I've done in those 17 years helped me now to understand the work that's in front of me as an actor. I have so much more to pull from.
Is it important for an actor to have these strong personal experiences to pull from in order to portray it and convey it on a stage or on a screen?
Oh, absolutely. That is extremely critical, because you know what? How do you prepare as an actor? One of the things is when you wake up, your observation. So just walking into a room and seeing the people, seeing the colors, looking at the food, the choices that you make every day, it keeps something alive in you. Acting is living and breathing. You get a chance to demonstrate the learned behavior called acting on stage and in film, but you are exercising those skills in every interaction that you have.
I recently read about Cuba Gooding Jr. And his role in the trial of O.J. Simpson. And he was talking about the intensity of the preparation and the intensity of the performance. And when he was finished shooting this series, he had to go through a catharsis, a release, because he was so locked into this character. Have you ever had similar experiences?
Oh, absolutely. And Forrest Whitaker put it best in an interview. He said that within all of us are these cells in our body. And when we discover the cell that represents this character and the behavior that's required, it comes alive. So the mind, the body is going to respond. So if there's a cell in me that says I have the potential to kill in the real world, and I'm playing a part as a killer, then to embrace that totally allows all of the anger, allows all of the focus and the attention to deliver that. And then when it's over, our body still feels, our mind still feels. So he's absolutely right. There is a cleansing that takes place after allowing yourself to go there. That's when you're transparent. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty intense, an intensive process. You've been acting since high school, am I correct?
Well, actually, my first play was in the second grade.
That's
was in
pretty
the second
young.
grade, and
Yeah.
at that time, I remember that play because I had a line in that show that says, you wouldn't say that if you were on the other side of the fence. But what that did, it allowed me to find something of value because I was told that I did a good job. I was told that, oh, I loved your acting, and I was a child. So what do you like to do in the world? And for me, acting became the thing that I loved.
The second grade.
Second grade.
That's amazing. I have no memory of the second grade. Yeah. Third or fourth either. I can't tell you, teacher, anything. I don't have a memory of it. But when did you know that this is me? This is what I want to spend my life pursuing. Was it a flash, a result of a singular performance, or was it a gradual process that you grew into?
It was almost like an awakening. When I was in London, England, in 1980, I was doing a workshop, and it was for actors, actually, and it was an improv. And something happened in the improv that I totally blanked out. And when the improv was over, they were clapping. I don't remember what happened, but that happened. And I was troubled with, how did that happen? How was it that I was so completely removed, but yet I was present? And
you delivered your lines, you delivered your performance, but you have no memory of doing it.
I have no memory of it. And I think that was the thing that made me have the quest to want to learn and do more. And so after a number of years of leaving the industry and coming back, the first play that I did coming back into the industry, that experience happened again. I was doing a monologue on stage, and I don't remember doing the monologue.
And which performance was that?
This was for Colored Boys. It was done at the Martin Day Griot Company with the director Farrah Jean Phillips.
Right, I was at that
and I don't remember. And when it was over, the audience was clapping. The actors had something to say after the show, and I knew there's a connection to me with this. This is what I'm born to do.
That's when you were doing your monologue?
Yeah. That's when I was doing a monologue in that play. And that's the second time, and that stayed with me. It puzzled me, but it told me, if this is the path, then this will be the path 100%.
Right.
And that's where I'm at now.
And you still, after all these years, after studying acting in college and all along your journey, you're still taking acting classes.
You never stop. You never stop because you'll never arrive. You'll constantly, you do the work so that the work can be there for you. If you're an actor, if you're not in a play, then you're taking a workshop. If you're in a play, you're doing a workshop. You're doing a workshop, you're teaching, you're learning, you're going to see shows. All of that is information that feeds the soul. It feeds the imagination. So, yeah, I'm taking scene study at the acting studio, and I'm loving it because it's challenging for me, and it keeps me alive. And so when I walk into a room to audition, I'm comfortable, I'm secure with who I am. Yeah. So the work never stops.
I gotta ask you this. I love the picture you posted on Facebook with you and Denzel Washington when he came to one of your performances.
Yeah.
What did he say to you?
Well, he hugged me and he said, "My man," you know, and then he asked me where I was from. But more importantly, he said, "You got it. Keep doing the work. You got it." And that wasn't a Denzel the actor. That was a brother to another brother.
Oh.
And I took that to heart. And that's the same show Cornell was at, who also spoke to me in that same vein. Cornell West said, "There's something about you. There's something about you." And I just, you know, you hear that and you say, well, it's the work. You know, let the work speak for itself. And that's all I try to do.
Out of all the roles that you have done, what has been the most challenging, including the Shakespearean stuff?
When I played Fats Navarro.
Musician?
The musician, yeah. And had to work with his addiction. That was very hard for me to understand it, to understand that need.
So is it important for the actor to understand the motivation of the character they're playing?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Motivation and circumstances, they go together. You know, what are your set of circumstances? We know we're acting, we know we're on stage, but what are the circumstances that bring you into this reality? What happened before you stepped on that stage is part of your preparation. So I'm motivated by these set of experiences.
Sure.
And because I have these set of experiences going on, I'm now moving forward for a desired result. So I'm not standing in the wings looking at my phone or wondering. No, there are a set of circumstances that are alive in me that's going to help the reality of that play exist for me as an actor. I'm no longer an actor. I am the character. I am a person in this reality.
Okay.
Yeah.
We see an explosion now on television and in the movies of African actors, of British African actors who seem to be well trained. What is their secret?
You know, and this is my belief, they never stopped training. I can't look good and say I'm an actor and then only think that I look good and so I'm going to get the work. You got to put in the work so that you can be qualified for the work. And putting in the work is a constant thing. That's why they are working, because they took time to train. And they're still doing the work. We have to do that. We have to allow, we can't say, I'm in the union now, I don't need classes, or I did that way back then. No, it's constant. It's constant. It's constant.
Ongoing
and I have a lot
journey.
of respect. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for those actors.
Wow. So this classes and workshops is lifelong for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You never stop. You never stop.
Is there a character, if you had the opportunity, you could say, I want to play this person. I would love to play this person on stage. Who would that be?
Well, I was introduced to a book. It was called David Walker's Appeal. And I'm very interested in bringing his life to the stage.
Tell us a little about David Walker.
David Walker was a free slave. He was an African-American who was raised in the North. And he had a shop. He used to collect clothes and send them down south. But what he did was, on the inseams of the clothing, he would put information about being free and their rights in there, and slaves got that. And that traveled, and there was a bounty on him for over $10,000 back then.
A lot of money.
Yeah, and so he really, you know, he was someone who really spoke up against slavery. A very intelligent man. His writing is very prolific, and I'm looking forward to embracing that challenge.
Oh.
That, and of course, anything in Shakespeare.
Has everyone wrote the play?
Not that I know of, but I know that it's a goal of mine, and that might be the task that I would need to undertake.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting that you would pick this character who has such a significant role in history.
Oh, absolutely.
What about Shakespeare? Why is Shakespeare so challenging to actors? Or is it challenging? I see you made a little slight frown. What is it about
Not
Shakespeare?
a frown, but it's a joy. It's the beauty of the language. And when you know, we take the language off the page and give it life. We take the written word and do something. And when the words are constructed in such a way and we understand them, it ignites something in us, a feeling. So when we say those lines, you say, oh, that's old. No, it's not. It's rich. Shakespeare's language is rich. And the more we explore it and go with it, the richer we become. The more we have a greater appreciation for life.
I got you.
Yeah.
So acting is art, and art is life.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. 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 I cannot see myself doing anything else. In all my work as an educator in the school system, as an assistant principal, acting has always been it's been the hook that I was able to lean on to speak to the students in the auditorium, to speak to parents, to talk to teachers. There was never a fear of stepping out in front of them. You can say, Robert, there's 1,000,005 people out there, and we need someone to say something. Give me the information. Good afternoon, my name is Robert. And there's not a fear. And all that comes out of the acting, of knowing thyself. Yeah.
Let me move to a different type of question, because I've heard the use of this term many times, but I don't think I fully understand what it means. And when they talk about an actor who's trained in method acting, what does that mean?
Well, in the 30s, there was what's known as the New Federal Project, and out of that came the group theater. And people like Stanislavski and Lee Strasberg, rather, and Lee Strasberg and Stanford Meisner, Stella Adler, these people came, and they started to look at acting in a more honest way. And out of that, some of the actors went to Russia to study under Stanislavski, and termed it now the method. And the method acting is relying on some of the personal experiences that will recreate an emotional behavior. Different from method is Meisner. Meisner, which I study, is looking at the imaginary circumstances to create the reality.
So let me see if I get this. So method acting, if I was an actor and I had to play an angry role, I had to portray anger. With method, I would go back into myself and think of a time when I was very angry.
Absolutely, and then trigger, and then use an object or something on stage to trigger that for you.
Right.
So, and the reason why I have respect for it, but I don't necessarily ascribe to it, is because I like to leave my personal life over here. And I think that the creativity is based on imagination. So I understand Meisner work in allowing us to create those set of circumstances. And I believe that those circumstances can be equally as powerful, to deliver. And it's safer for me. That's just for me. However, there are elements of the method work with sense memory that they do that really makes the work solid. But I refuse to, scar my body so that I can have that experience. I refuse to do those things because that's not necessary. I believe that the imagination can create those things, and that's under Meisner. And I'm very, very fortunate to work with a teacher, Mr. James Price, who was a protege of Stanford Meisner. So I'm getting some really solid work.
Wow. Bobby, you clarified that for me. I think I have a pretty good understanding of these two approaches in acting. Thank you. Recently, you did a small piece for Netflix.
Yeah, I was, which is really, really nice. We're still under contract, so I'm not able to talk about it. But I was very honored. And the thing is that when they were shooting, one of the locations was in Bedford-Stuyvesant, 2 blocks from the school that I was an assistant principal. So I ran into a number of folks. I actually had the trailer, and it had my name out there. And I opened the door of the trailer, and hey, Mr. Siverls, but that was refreshing because former students and parents were able to see that, I'm still moving forward, that life goes on, And I had conversations about the school and what's going on, but more importantly, they were able to see that, when one door closes, we open another. we're resilient. We keep moving. So it was a good experience, a very good experience.
Okay. Do you work with any young actors? Do you mentor, or you really don't do that at this point?
Well, years ago, I taught acting for New Federal Theater, Mr. Woody King. I taught adult acting, and I've done that privately in the past. At this time, right now, the way that things are moving for me, I haven't had the time to do that, but that door is always open because I'm going to be an educator to all my life. Right. So that door is open, absolutely.
You mentioned the name Woody King. He is probably one of the top producers, African-American producers in this city.
Absolutely. Woody King, Boza Rivers, and both of them are just very fine gentlemen who have, their core belief is the work and putting the work out there, and to have a connection with them and to know them and to be supported by them is very, very, it's a blessing.
Do you go and watch plays and other actors?
Absolutely, but it's challenging.
Is it important?
I think it's extremely important because, again, when a person goes to the theater, they're not going to hear somebody read something. They're going to have an experience. So it's the job of the actor to take the written word and bring life to it so that we can have a real experience. And as much as I can, I'm at the theater. But when in rehearsals during the week for one project and doing a project on weekends, it kind of conflicts. But anytime there's an opportunity, absolutely, you go see the work. Go see the work. And we're not talking Broadway, we're talking off-Broadway, we're talking community theater, we're talking all across the board. And in every avenue, you will discover people there giving 100%, making sincere efforts, holding on to their core belief as actors, and going through their struggle. And their struggle is their journey. And it's a joyful journey because they're not bitter that they are struggling. They don't even know that they're struggling. It's like growing up in the project. You didn't know you were poor. You were just living and doing. It's the same thing when you're on that path as an actor, when it's inside of you.
You seem to be extremely passionate about this.
Oh, absolutely.
And I like that description, a joyful journey. I guess it is that when it becomes part of a person's passion, vocation, and their calling.
Well, I read recently it said that we're light. You're a light in the world, and when you understand that you are a light, and your light shines, and your light provides insight and healing for people, then it's part of service, and that's what actors are. We are a light, so we choose the work that's going to represent, that's going to empower and impact people, community, just overall. That makes a difference, and it says that as an actor, we're givers. As an actor, you're a spiritual being because you are of service. And anytime you're of service to touch humanity, that's also God's work.
Yeah. I can't have you leave this show without asking you to address this issue. And I think I know your answer. There are rappers that become actors. And I can't say, and I can't speak for all of them, but I have the sense that the roles in which they play are similar to their own personality in life, and it's not much truly acting occurring. How does that sit with actors? With someone who...
Well, I can only speak for myself. First of all, I want to extend blessings to them because somebody has recognized talent in them. I think that as a person of color, we have to be very careful of allowing the image that we portray just be that. So if we're a rapper and we play roles that's very close to who we are, then you're really not, you're really not exploring that craft because you're just being yourself. And we have to understand that this is a show business. So the business side is going to pull because they know that if you're an entertainer, we're going to get you in there, and that's numbers and that's dollars. And so, and the people know this person. Right. It's my hope that certain rappers will take that opportunity to allow themselves to get into workshops and to go a little deeper to show and to explore it, you know, a little bit more sincerely.
Robert, this has been first informative, second enjoyable. I thank you for coming on the show, and we have to do this again. Bobby, thank you.
You're welcome. I look forward to it.
Yes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the show and got a sense of some of the challenges that actors face. Until the next time, I'll see you on the next second Saturday.
All right.
Let's talk about Yoruba and the Yoruba tradition. Its origins. Some people know it as Santeria, and there's other terms that's used for that.
Yeah, when we look at its origin, we're looking at it's coming out of West Africa.
Right.
And most of the slaves that came over came from West Africa. And, you know, there's a quote that's on Facebook that says the only difference between the African Americans here, the people in Cuba, people in Puerto Rico, people in Dominican Republic is the boat to stop. There's another difference that we got to take into mind. When the slaves was brought here, the family unit was torn apart.
Yeah.
However, when they were brought to places like Cuba, the whole community that was taken was kept together. And because of that, traditions and customs and beliefs that they practiced, they were able to recreate. And the beautiful thing is, what I didn't remember, you remembered. And that's what made it so beautiful. I talk of gratitude and humility more now in all that I do.
Important.
It is,
qualities.
and so in the work of service, because, you know, I with divination, I'm reading people, and I'm always, you know, spirits talking to me, so I'm always talking to people, I'm giving advice, and I'm doing these things, and all of that is God's work, because all of that is done to help people improve their life and move better and move forward. And some people would embrace it and believe it, others would say, I don't believe in that, and that's still right.